Welcome, everyone. Essentially, what happened here, I stumbled across this article and I thought it was very, very interesting, and it raised a couple of really good questions about technology and how technology should be regulated in the economy. And I thought we'd just kind of take a look at it. And in the end, I kind of want to know what you guys' thoughts are. I want to see some comments that show me, whether you agree with this decision or whether you agree with the sentiment or whether you're against it. And I'll give you guys kind of my opinion as well. Let's just take a look. So I found this on this NBC News up here. It's Supreme Court to rule if customers can sue Apple claiming the App Store is illegal monopoly. Apple urges the Supreme Court to throw the case out, arguing that it's not selling anything, but only operating a marketplace. So we kind of have our two sides. Is it wrong that Apple is the only one, or allows only their App Store on the phone? Of course, they do get a cut from everything, but let's just kind of jump into this here. So it looks like it was November 25th, which is actually the day that this is being recorded, by Pete Williams. So yeah, here, Washington. Anyone who wants to get an app for an iPhone has only one place to go, Apple's own App Store. The United States Supreme Court hears arguments Monday on whether customers can sue by claiming that such an arrangement amounts to a monopoly that jacks up prices. Okay, interesting. We have our kind of intro. Ooh, go away, Blue. If the justices allow the case to go forward in the lower courts, and Apple eventually loses, that could disrupt the App Store. Even though the average price of an app is just over $1, the App Store generated an estimated $11 billion in revenue for the company in 2017. A ruling that Apple was running an illegal monopoly could expose it to millions of dollars in damages. Actually, sounds like it could even be billions if they pulled enough people away. Imagine if there was the Google Play Store on there. But anyways, let's see here. Software developers say the outcome would disrupt similar online marketplaces that operate between app creators and customers, but some consumers say it would create competition that would lower prices. Now, like I said, this is a pretty short one. We can kind of jot through here. But yeah, it just says software developers say that outcome would disrupt similar online marketplaces that operate between. So Apple urges the Supreme Court to throw the case out, arguing that it's not actually selling anything, but is instead operating a marketplace that allows app developers to sell their products. A key question: who's responsible for any overcharging? The developers who set the price, or Apple, which levies a commission on every app sold? Now, Apple iPhones are designed to run only programs sold through its App Store. When software developers offer their products, Apple reviews them for compatibility and malware, and I think that's an important thing as well. That's one of the reasons that if you have an iPhone, even if you think it has a virus, it probably does not have a virus, just because Apple does curate everything that goes to their App Store. It's the reason phones will get viruses way less than computers, because when you get a program on the computer, you're downloading that from anywhere. Usually, for the most part, you can get it right off the internet. Whereas even on Google devices, you have to actually go into your settings and allow installation from unknown sources. So it is kind of useful that Apple does keep an eye on that. And then, yeah, it kind of goes in here. Okay, so Apple collects a 30% commission. A group of iPhone customers filed a class action lawsuit, looks like, claiming that Apple has created a closed market for apps, allowing the company to tack on a monopoly overcharge to every sale. Apple's intentionally closed system prevents competition, says David Frederick, a lawyer representing the customers, which enables the App Store to collect a higher price than if Apple were forced to entice app seekers in a competitive market. I mean, yeah, that's true. Right away, I just want to say I'm thinking I'm disagreeing with people trying to sue Apple over this, and I'll explain too. It seems like it's kind of a far-reaching thing. But let's just kind of go jump down a little bit farther. There isn't a lot of this left, so we'll just kind of finish her out. Yeah, Daniel Wall, he's a lawyer for Apple, says the company, far from stifling at competition, created a dynamic new industry where none had existed before, with more than 2 million programs now offered through the App Store, an electronic marketplace that drove an explosion of development and innovation in mobile apps. For the Supreme Court, the issue is a straightforward one: who gets to sue? For over 40 years, the courts have held that when there's an illegal monopoly, only the direct purchaser can sue for damages. Suppose, for example, that the only supplier in town for dry cleaning chemicals is overcharging. Under this long-standing legal doctrine, customers who bring in their laundry cannot sue. Only the dry cleaners can, because they're the direct buyers of the chemicals. Okay. So as Apple sees it, even if the App Store amounted to an illegal monopoly, and the company insists that it is not, only the app developers could sue, because they're the actual buyers of Apple's distribution service. That's true, they're the ones paying the commission to Apple. Ooh. On that basis, a federal judge in San Francisco threw the lawsuit out, concluding that Apple didn't sell anything directly to iPhone consumers. Okay, very interesting. But the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed. It held that Apple acts like a retailer that buys products and then resells them. Interesting. So now we have two different judges seeing it in two different ways. Crazy. Accordingly, the customers were allowed to sue that decision. The Apple appealed to the Supreme Court. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. Got a little glass ice here. Yeah, that is absolutely kind of fascinating. I mean, yeah, we can just finish off last paragraph here. The Trump administration is siding with Apple, and its friend of court brief, the Justice Department said it would be particularly hard to figure out whether the App Store overcharges, since the prices are set by tens of thousands of app developers. Right. Exactly. Everyone kind of sets their own price. That's what kind of makes it pretty tricky. Well, anyways, I mean, my whole thing with this, reading over this, and this is kind of why it really stood out to me, Apple, as a company, and people can feel free to disagree with this when it comes to kind of how monopolies can operate, but when Apple creates an iPhone, of course, they put work into that, and they have their engineers designing it, and they have their software engineers as well developing all of the software for the devices. And part of that software is the terms and conditions, and in the terms and conditions, it essentially says, hey, if you're going to use our device, you have to use our software too. And I don't know if I think that's an unreasonable thing to ask. Especially, I mean, when you think about like consoles as well, when you kind of bridged over into the video game area, where for the longest time consoles actually would sell below their production cost, so they would take a hit. The companies would take a hit for each console sold, but the idea is that you can have an agreement on these systems that says that, okay, you bought my system. Part of buying my system, though, is to have access to this market. It's a closed system, and then they make money back through the market. And I think that's kind of an important thing. And even if it wouldn't be that bad, I'd like to have the Google Play Store on an Apple phone. That would be cool. I don't know if I want to open Pandora's box on that one. You know, I don't know if I want to destroy the ability for these companies to potentially make their money back, or to give them the opportunity. Because what if Apple sees this loss of revenue and says, you know what, maybe we'll just raise the prices of our phones to compensate. You know what I mean? So consumers, I think, tend to pay for regulation anyways. That tends to be the case from usually with the stuff that I see. Of course, I kind of look at it from my side, though, of course. So, well, fair enough. You know, I just wanted to take a look at this with you guys, and like I said, I'm really interested to see what people have to say about that. Please leave me a comment below and just say, hey, do you think it's right for consumers to try and sue Apple because the App Store is the only one there, or do you think it's kind of ridiculous for them to do that? Do you think, which one do you decide with? Do you think Apple should open it up? Do you think that maybe they should try to be more competitive as kind of like just to throw them, you know, a little piece of meat, just maybe lower their commission price, things like that, so prices can come down? Yeah, I'm just super interested to see what you guys have to say. So, like I said, leave me a comment down below, and also if you enjoyed the video, please give me a like and give me a subscribe and check out the other videos. You know, I really appreciate it.
Is it so impossible, this?